Good afternoon. We are starting with solution development and we will be focusing on HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and we'll be designing a web page. So as you can see on the screen, we will be making use of an HTML editor, and in this case it will be a Notepad application that we are going to use to modify or design our web page. And again, this is part of your term 3 curriculum coverage, and I hope this lesson will be very beneficial. Right, let's start. So as you can see, we are going to cover the basic tags, meaning we'll be making use of an HTML tag sheet that consists of different tags that you can use to design your website. And these tags, they look something like this. Right, so as you can see, we are going to be using the basic tags, the text tags, and also the formatting tags. And remember, as the lesson is about basic tags, it means we will be starting with the design of the web page from scratch. Right, I will go back to the Notepad so that you can actually see how we are going to do this. But before I move to the Notepad, as you can see on the basic tags, the ones that we are going to cover today, it shows here that you are going to make use of the opening and the closing tags for HTML, which will then start and end your web page. So meaning you don't have a web page if you don't have the opening and the closing tags of HTML. Right, moving to the Notepad, I will start with my web page. Right, so I'm just going to zoom a little bit so that you can see. There you go. Right, so I am going to type the opening tag of HTML, and then I'm just going to skip a few lines and then now close our HTML. There you go. Right, the saving step is very important. So before we even start to add the text and formatting tags, we first need to save our website. Right, so what I'm going to do now is to show you how to save so that when you write your test or your exams, you don't make mistakes and save your file as a text file, but as an actual web page file. Right, so what you're going to do is you're going to click on File. You'll select Save As, since you're saving this file for the first time, and then now it's going to take you to your storage of the device, and then you will type the file name. So we are going to name this one My First Web Page. Okay, and then this part is very important as well. As you can see, is the Save As type. So here, since we are working with an HTML file, you cannot leave it as a normal text file. You must then save it as a hypertext markup language file. So what you're gonna do is you will click on the down arrow and then you go and look for the hypertext markup language file, and then after that you will then save your file. I will be saving my file on the desktop so that you can see. Right, save. There you go. Now after saving, you can see that the tags now become active, meaning the color of the tags should guide you as to whether what you're doing is correct or incorrect. Right, so just to confirm this, I am going to minimize the Notepad and then we go and check if the file is there on the desktop. Right, there you go. The file was saved as My First Web Page. There you go. I'm just gonna drag it so that you can see it. So The file icon is actually dependent on the default web browser that you have in your computer. So if the default web browser of your computer is Microsoft Edge, the file's icon should look something like this. But then if your default web browser is Google Chrome, then your file icon should show something like this. If it shows anything else, then it means that you probably might have saved it using the wrong file format. Right, now we're going to open the file. So what you do is you double click. Right, there you go. So to show that this is an actual HTML file or a web page, when you open it, it should redirect you to whatever web browser that you are currently using. As you can see, my default web browser is Google Chrome, so the file, after opening it, it opened Google Chrome. Right, so now that you have the file open, you don't have to close it. Then we can just minimize and go back to our Notepad. Right, so on the Notepad, remember the file is not showing anything yet because we just designed the web page, but we haven't started formatting or adding anything on it. So right now we can start working on our web page. Right, so just like any structure, it should have different parts. So our web page as well consists of the head, the body, and the leg. So in this case, the leg could be the closing tag of the HTML. Right, so now we are going to add our head. There you go. I will type the opening tag for head, and then inside the head, just like when you go and take an ID document, right? So your ID document should have details about you, and it should have like a picture of you, right? So same thing with the head of the web page. It should have a name, right? Just like your ID with a name on it. So inside the head tag, that's where we're going to put the title, which means we are now going to add the title tag, and then we add the name of our web page. Right, so the name of the web page, we are going to name this basic tags. So as you can see, the colors of different components of this web page are not the same. The tags have the blue color, right? And then the text or the content of the web page will have a black color. And another thing, when you are working with the tags, you do not space in between, like clicking here and then you space. This is wrong, but you are allowed to space in between the words. However, you are not supposed to space in between the tags. There you go. So another thing that you need to take note of is that everything that you open in a Notepad, you must make sure that you close it. So as you can see, I've opened the HTML tag. I've also closed it here. And then I've opened the heading tag. I've opened the title tag, but then the heading tag is not closed. So it means right now you have to close the heading tag. There you go. Right, so right now you just have to save, and then you go and refresh your web page. Remember, the file is already saved, so you just save the changes, and then I'm gonna go back and open the web page. As you can see, when you refresh here, the name changes to basic tags because right now we have added the title, which will be then the name of your website or your web page. Right, let's go back. Okay, another thing that we can add here that forms part of the basic tags, it's the body background color, and also the body text color. Right, so now we are going to add the body, and we are going to add the background color. So the tag for the background color, it's body BG color. So this is the color that does not have the U in it. Right, and then you're gonna open the tag, and then here we are going to add the color pink. Remember, this is the attribute, and it should always be accompanied by the quotations. Right, and remember, always whatever tag that you're going to open, you must close it. So I am then going to close the body tag. I'm going to close the body tag. There you go. And then now I am going to save the changes. I will return back to the web page, and then all I have to do now is just to refresh it. After refreshing, it should change the color to pink. There you go. And then this is how you add the body background color. Another thing that we can, or that we need to look at, is the use of color that has two words in it. Colors like dark green or dark blue. You are not supposed to space in between, because remember, these colors, they use color codes. So when you space, it means you are adding another number into the color code, and it might change to a different color and not give you the one that you're supposed to add. For an example, we are going to remove this pink, and then we are going to add dark green. And then we are going to space so that you can see how it will look like when you space in between. Right, so I am going to save. I'm going to click save, and then I will return to the web page, and then I'm going to refresh. So as you can see, this is not dark green, right? Because we spaced in between. So now you're having a different color or a wrong color, because the color code with the spacing, it means you are adding another number or a zero in between. So when you go back to the Notepad, you have to remove the space in between, and then you make it one word. By so doing, you then save, and then when you go back to your web page, after refreshing, you should have your dark green. Right. And then what else can we add? We are going to add the heading. We are going to add the heading. Remember, this space right here, it means that's where you will be adding the body of your web page. Right. Let's add heading 1. So to add headings, you must make use of H1 up to H6. So we can go back to our HTML text sheets so that you can actually see. There you go. So you have H1 up to H6, and then H1 will create the largest heading. So it means the higher you go with your heading, the lower you go with your font size. There you go. H6 creates the smallest heading. Right, so we are going to make use of H1. We are also going to make it bold, italic, and even underline it. Right, I will return back to the Notepad so that you can see. There you go. So H1 will be the name of our subject. So I will type computer applications, technology. There you go. And then I will close the heading 1 tag. There you go. And then I said I want to make this bold and italic, right? So it means we are going to add some formatting on it and underline the heading. So what you're going to do is we are going to use the tag U to underline the heading. And remember, every tag that you're going to open, you must then close it. There you go. We're going to close our underline. And we're also going to make it bold. We use the tag B to make the heading bold. And remember, we have to close the bold tag. There you go. And then another thing that we can add here, it's italics. So here we make use of I to make the text italic. And then remember, again, you have to close the italic. And then now we are going to save. After saving, you return back to your web page, as you can see, and then we are going to refresh. So meaning you don't have to keep on opening or closing your web page. You can leave it open, and then every time when you update or save anything, you then just have to come back and refresh. So let's refresh. There you go. We have our heading 1 underlined, italic, and in bold. Thank you for watching. Bye. See you next time.